Good morning. Welcome, everyone. My name is Robert King. I'll be the moderator, but I'll be quickly passing on the entire program to our distinguished guests. I will be reading the bios for each of the speakers, and since we have 5 speakers, then they will present in order. First off, we have Ursula Ferenc is the Ministerial Commissioner for Space Research, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, and the Hungarian head of delegation to the European Space Agency since 2018. Her roles include arranging contacts and connection with space contracts in connection with space exploration, implementing space research strategies, furthering developing the policies for space with an extensive background in the field of space. Dr. Ferenc was a research fellow in the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, the Research Center for Astronomy and
Robert,
Sciences, Geodetic and Geophysical Institute of Physics and Space Science in Budapest Service, member of the... Hello?
Sorry, you were delaying there for a bit, but I think you're okay now, so continue.
Okay, thank you. Might be a internet blink. We have some weather problems here. Apologize about that. The next presenter is Dr. Laszlo Biscardi, is the head of Mobile Communications and Quantum Technologies Laboratory in the Department of Network Systems and Services at the Budapest University of Technology and Economics. Welcome, Dr. Biscardi. Dr. Laszlo Czernak is the Vice Rector for Scientific Affairs at the University of Debrecen. Previously, Laszlo was visiting professor of Robert Wood Johnson Medical School. Laszlo holds a Master's of Science in Physics from Kossuth Lajos University in 1995. Laszlo received his degree in biology and science doctorate from the University of Debrecen. Welcome, Dr. Czernak. Dr. Janos Lichtenberger is the head of the Space Research Group in the Department of Geophysics and Space Sciences at Eötvös Loránd University, the oldest and largest university in Hungary. He does research in electromagnetism, plasma physics, and geophysics. Welcome, Dr. Lichtenberger.
Thank you very much. I think I can continue this. I hope that everyone can hear and see us. Thank you very much for this great opportunity to show in a nutshell the Hungarian space activity, the space ambitions, and the space strategy, and the efforts we did and we will do in the near future regarding the education of the space sciences. The history of the space activity in Hungary goes back to 1945, 1946. In this year, Mr. Zoltán Boy and his group of engineers successfully measured the distance between the moon and the Earth by radar signals. They were the second on the world and the first regarding the continent. And after this, Hungary was quite active in the space activities. And from 2015, we are full member state of the European Space Agency. In the recent years, in 2018, the topic of or the issue of the space activity went to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, and the logic behind this was that the Hungarian space activity is strongly in international cooperation with other countries and the European Union, the European nations, and the multilateral organizations. Regarding this logic, we quadrupled the central budget of the space activity in the European Space Agency, and there are Hungarian participants in the largest scientific missions and programs of the European Space Agency. Besides this, we started a program called Space Terminal, in the frame of which we collected all the educational programs and the communication to the public, because I think this is as important as all the other activities. We must explain to the public why we do and what we do and how we spend the money of the taxpayers, let's say. And I strongly believe that the history of mankind will be written in the space in this century. And because of this, the space activity is not just an interesting scientific topic. This is much more than a scientific question. This is the basis and the background of all the civilization, the activities. These global services which are using the space infrastructure are the basis of the critical infrastructure of the humankind. Because of this, this is a keystone or cornerstone. How can we find the good brains? How can we find the good people who can work for the space sector? And this space sector is an ecosystem. It means that this is not just science, not just the STEM sector, not just engineering or informatics. This is much more. This is economical questions, legal issues, safety, security, defense, a lot of aspects which we must encounter and must take into consideration when we talk about space. And because of this, we started a program a few months ago here in Hungary, in which 17 Hungarian universities will start an educational program for people who are interested in this question regarding the space. And this is postgraduate course, postgraduate education. So it means that the people who join to this program, they have some original professional direction from the legal aspects to the engineering, but we try to open the focus as wide as we can. And the Hungarian government is very committed to boost up the Hungarian space activity, to increase the effectiveness of the cooperation with multilateral organizations like the UN, the European Union, or the other partners. We have globally 15 bilateral partners from the United States, from Israel, from Singapore, so from all around the world. And the Hungarian government adopted the space strategy, national space strategy last year in 2021, in which the government declared that this is a resilient sector. This is the fundamentally important part of the economy. And this is the key of the solution of the global challenges and problems. It's enough to think the climate change or the global warming, in which we really need the scientific background which is coming from the satellite data or the space research or space activity. So I really hope that we can show more details regarding the space strategy and the goals defined in this strategy. These are flagship projects like the Hungarian National Astronaut Program, the Hungarian To Orbit Lunar Program, in which we cooperate with American partners, NASA and the Axiom Space. And we hope to launch up our astronaut to the ISS in 2024 with a very valid and very interesting scientific program in this mission. And we would like to improve our space segment, the ground segment, and space test facilities in the country. And we are very happy to cooperate with other nations because we believe that the mankind can solve the global problems and global challenges in a very strong cooperation. And in this point, I would like to give the floor to Dr. Bianca Parag to enlighten, to detail the UniSpace program of the Hungarian higher education. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Auszria, Dr. Auszria Ferenc. So good morning, everyone. I am honored to be here. I am Bianca Parag, Director of the UniSpace program, representing the National University of Public Service as a consortium leader. On behalf of the members of the consortium, we thank you for this honorable invitation. It is a pleasure to present the Hungarian UniSpace program at the Space Education Conference. We will introduce to present the Hungarian UniSpace program in this conference. So we will introduce you to UniSpace innovation in higher education with the distinguished members of the consortium. In the beginning of the UniSpace Hungary consortium, the space industry has become one of the most innovative, rapidly developing, least crisis-sensitive industries, which grows dynamically worldwide, in Hungary too. Its resilience to shocks is quite apparent. Since the outbreak of the pandemic in spring 2020, the sector preserved many jobs and created new ones too, while its innovative and technological advances remained uninterrupted. The Hungarian space industry employs a significant number of highly skilled workers and introduces cutting-edge technologies. Furthermore, through its innovations and technological and scientific transfers, its contribution to the competitiveness of the Hungarian economy is significant, even at the current level of its capacities. So the government has identified the space industry as one of the industries of the futures in the Economic Action Plan in the year 2020, in the beginning of the pandemic. The government efforts are well supported by the outstanding performance of the Hungarian economy. So the performance of the Hungarian economy is really strong. According to numbers, our country has one of the fastest recovering economies in Europe. Our GDP value is 7.2% higher than in the beginning of the pandemic, so than in the year 2019. The Hungarian space industry competencies are really valuable. More than 75 years old competencies we have. The domestic space industry competencies are really valuable too. The UniSpace training program is set up under the professional guidance and supervision of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. With the professional guidance of the ministry, and the cooperation with Ministry of Innovation and Technology and Prime Minister's Office, we are working on the creation of an interdisciplinary continuing education program with the participation of 17 universities. This program is really evolutive. First of all, some words about the cooperation, the structure, and our cooperation model according to UniSpace Hungary consortium. The National Public Service University is the professional leader, the consortium leader, coordinating and sponsoring university because of our competencies. So we have competencies in economics and space law. Our university is the University of this ESA Space Law Center, national point of contact in Hungary, the European Space Agency, the Space Economy and National Competitiveness Research Group. The economic implication of Hungary's space strategy were developed by this research group. The safety, security, and cyber security competencies because of the University of Public Service has special competencies on these areas, the space diplomacy competencies, and the National Laboratory for Security Technologies. And what was the starting point of the training program of the UniSpace UniSpace consortium and the Hungary space strategy? We can see that the SWOT analysis of the Hungary space strategy has significant points. So the Hungary space strategy was adopted by the government last year, and the most important strengths of Hungary, according to SWOT analysis in education, are the follows. So more than 78 or 80 years of professional know-how and expertise in the higher education, the national coverage, according to companies and according to universities and according to scientific background. This is very good news for us and very important base, valuable base for us. The high professional standards, the competitive results, the participation in international research collaboration, and we have strengths too in research. For example, the highly qualified staff with project experience and with experience and contacts, diversified space research activities, successful downstream activities, and strong research or technology or practical infrastructure. But our skills we have to improve, need to be improved. So we have, of course, different motivation for this. First of all, the professional resources and the challenges of training young people, predictable financial resources, these are really important, infrastructural improvements, and the practical training from this aspect. I would like to show you the main structure of the Hungarian UniSpace training program. It covers 4 disciplines. So you can see with the orange color, the social science discipline. The responsible of this discipline is the University of Public Service. The name of our training program is Space Policy Expert Training. And the second one, the engineering science discipline, the responsible of this program is Budapest University of Technology and Economics. This program called Space Technology Experts. And the next one is the Medicine and Health Science discipline. The responsible of this discipline or training program is University of Debrecen. And the fourth one, the Natural Science discipline, the responsible is the Eötvös Loránd University in Hungary, this program called Space Science Expert Training. The interdisciplinary coordination and administrative tasks will be carried out by these 4 universities. And I would like to show you here the members of the UniSpace Hungary consortium. You can see here the 17 different universities, like consortium partners. And this is an inter-university cooperation, as I told you before. And of course, the national competency survey was carried out. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade invited the universities to start courses on the basis of their educational research competencies and training portfolio. So duration of the training program, it's 3 semesters, and we have a common model too. It will be the first semester, and our launch date is this is not a plain launch date. This is the real launch date, is this year, September. Today is a special day for us, as it is the first day of the UniSpace program, so that's why it's special for us. So the first semester covers the same subjects in each specialization. During this semester, the students in each specialization will learn about the basic and specific orientation context of the space sector. There are here in this semester 8 different subjects. The coordinating and administrative role is carried out by the National University of Public Service. For example, the communication, liaison, website, quality assurance, etc. And the training started, as I told you before, this month. But we plan to launch the UniSpace program in English in a year's time. You can see here the 8 different subjects of the first semester. This is our common semester, the common module. First, introduction to space science and history of space exploration. These subjects are together from the space science discipline, and the introduction to space technology and space research and space technology. Okay, these subjects came from the discipline of engineering. And the biology of human body and space nutrition and space food are coming from the science of life sciences and health sciences. And the space sector and economic growth and the introduction to international law are coming from the discipline of this social discipline, so from the University of Public Service. So the training themes includes 2 subjects per training discipline. The students on all training programs study the same subject in this semester. So, for example, engineers, doctors, lawyers, economists, business managers, company owners, and diplomats, of course. So that's why this is the reason of it, this so interdisciplinary foundation semester. But what is interesting in this, another interesting thing in this training program, the second and the third semester. So you can see here the main structure of this training from aspect of space policy expert training. As you can see, there are here 4 mandatory subjects and 2 other subjects. So these subjects are optional in every second and third semester. In the second and third semester, students will deepen their knowledge of the discipline. These are the semesters, the second and the third semesters of the discipline specialization. It is important to maintain the link with other disciplines during these semesters, as students can choose 2 subjects from the other 3 disciplines per semester. So this allows participants to acquire comprehensive interdisciplinary knowledge throughout the program. The optional subjects of other specialization are different, and some words about our training program, the Space Policy Advisor. This training program is designed primarily for people with a social science degree. This is a basic degree, BA or BSc, as reflected in the subject mix. So the lawyers, economists, public administrators, foreign affairs specialists, and business executives study on this program. And here are the names of in these slides, you can see of the other training programs from the other 3 disciplines. For example, the space policy dispatch training after this first one, the space technology expert training, the space specialist in life sciences expert training, and the space sciences expert training. So the 4 sub-programs make up the university program, UniSpace University program. We have 17 consortium members, as I told you before. So we have 17 universities with academics participating and collaborating as trainers. The 4 disciplines form the umbrella of specific competencies of the 17 universities. And now, this is the moment I will pass the floor to our colleagues. So I hope that I have the opportunity for you to give a clear picture about our interdisciplinary advanced training in space science. So I hope I have given you an idea of the innovative Hungarian UniSpace program, developed by 17 Hungarian universities with 3 ministries as professional partners. So I would like to turn the floor over to my colleague. The professors will present the training programs by discipline. Thank you for your kind attention. I will finish my screen sharing. I hope I can do it. And is it okay? I don't know. Okay, thank you. I would like to pass the word to Professor László Csernok. The floor is yours, Professor.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Let me first share my screen. Can you see the shared screen?
Yes, we can see it.
The University of Debrecen is responsible for the coordination of the space specialists in life sciences. In other words, we are focusing on what the astronauts need is in space, what happens to them in terms of their physiology, as well as how we can cope with problems that might occur or help them in case of long term, both in distance and in time, space flights. As you have heard, the first semester comprises of 8 courses, from which 2 is associated with the life sciences. I don't want to say much about these. They cover basic information on the biology of the human body for those who are not experts in the field. Absolutely essential information and very basic information on the human body, as well as on how and what are the most important things that astronauts or those who are in space need in terms of their nutrition, what foodstuffs and other things that one eats are necessary for maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So I will now turn to the 2 other semesters and explain a little bit on what we would like to convey to the students who enroll. But before I do that, let me state that we, for the life science specialist, admit people who have degrees in medicine, pharmacy, biology, or anything regarding agriculture and plant biology. So based on these experts, in the second semester, we start with space medicine, which actually covers all the areas on how the human body is altered due to the exposure of microgravity, including problems on muscle loss, bone loss, changes in cardiovascular system, and so on. Then we turn on to space telemedicine, where the interaction that might take place between those remaining here on Earth and those astronauts in a far-off place can interact in case of medical needs. Of course, we are always aware that if it is a long-term space flight or a mission in a future place somewhere on the moon or anywhere, doctors might or shall go with the project, but even a doctor can get sick. In connection with the space telemedicine, we will be introducing a small course on giving people an introduction to those machines that are used in curing these programs, either here on Earth or on a space station or on mission in a long run. And then we will introduce people to radiobiology, that is, what are the most important effects of irradiation on the human body, what the different cosmic rays can and might do, and how these things should be addressed if a problem occurs. In the third semester, we will continue on discussing space pharmaceuticals. This is regarding on how medication might be altered, for example, due to its change in available time in space. It has been shown that the exposure to cosmic irradiation, the length of usage for a space medicine or any medication is shortened. And under certain conditions, it is important for people to know how these could be replaced by other possible things that might grow on the spaceship. And this brings me to the fact that we will be introducing what we call space farming. We are completely aware of the fact that long-term space flights, especially if this is a station on the moon or a flight to Mars, it is impossible to send enough food with the mission. So in order to feed the astronauts, they have to have the appropriate ways of growing their own food. And these lectures will highlight the possibilities of closed loop using growing plants, using them as nutrition and food, and recovering the waste to recycle and start the process over to have a continuously working environment, not to talk of producing oxygen and getting rid of carbon dioxide under these conditions. Talking of long flights, it is important to note that there are always problems of long closed situations. So we will be looking at the possible psychological effects of closed environments and harsh environments as a question. And finally, we are completely aware also of the fact that food and eating is not only taking nutritions and vitamins and so on, which are essential, but it is also a way of making people happy. That is, food has to be introduced in a way which is not only provides necessarily energy and constituents, but also is an enjoyment. So we will be considering how this can be achieved in a long space flight. And that completes what we would like to teach to those who want to become space specialists in life sciences. And with that, I thank you your attention, and I pass the floor on to the next person. I will stop sharing my screen.
Mr. Professor Lichtenberger, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Bianca. Well, actually, I was expected Bachardi as the next one, but it doesn't matter. I can share and start. Okay, let me.
I'm sorry so much.
Okay, do you see my screen?
Yes, we see. Thank you.
Okay. Of course, you have seen already this page. So let's go to the second or third, I don't know, the second specialization, which is space science, and it is led by my university, Utrecht University in Budapest, and basically it's a basic science. So what we are planning to do is to introduce to the student all the basic physics and astronomy and chemistry which is necessary to understand the universe and mostly the solar system, the heliosphere around us, and they will be able to use this knowledge, even if they will not be space scientists, but that will be expert on other three specialization, because this is the basis of everything, I would say. So as already heard about, that there will be 3 semesters. That first one is a general introduction for everyone, including the other 3 specialization as well. And the second, similarly to the others, we start with the foundation courses, and then on the 3rd semester we will show the special application, mostly focusing on the Earth, surrounding of the Earth and the solar system. The first semester, I won't repeat all other courses, the name of the courses. We start with, from my side, we start with the basics of space sciences, which is, I already mentioned, this is basically space physics, space chemistry, and astrophysics and astronomy. And then it's very important, and this is my opinion, to introduce the history of space research, the space science, to the students, because without it, it would be difficult to understand the trends and the near future properly. And of course, as we are Hungarian and we are in Hungary, we will pay special attention to the Hungarian history of the space research. As already Dr. Orsolya has mentioned, that we are very proud that we have a long history and with full of results in space research. And the second semester, which is the foundation of this specialization, we have 4 courses starting with basics of astronomy and astrophysics. Evidently, this is about the universe, how the universe is formed, how it's evolved, how stars and formed, and then also we continue with the solar system, the heliosphere, how sun is formed, and how the planets are formed. And after that, we will continue with basic space physics, which is practically plasma physics in the solar system, starting with the sun, physics of the sun, continuing with international interplanetary magnetic field, as well as the solar wind, reaching our planet, the Earth, covering the different aspects of the dynamics of the magnetosphere as well as the ionosphere, paying here special attention to the physics of the dynamic region, like radiation belts inside the magnetosphere. The space and astrochemistry includes space chemical experiment in space on a satellite or like ISS, the International Space Station, while astrochemistry includes information about how the chemical compounds are formed and during the evolution of the universe, especially of the different stars and planets, including exoplanets as well. And the third basic course, or sorry, the fourth basic course is Earth observation, because from our point of view, the most important planet in the solar system is, of course, the Earth. So we have to watch all the time and have to use space activity to cover every aspect of the human activity on the ground. So it starts with the general remote sensing introduction and continues with the observation the changes in the ground, including application on defense, meteorology, cartography, up to and ending with the application for monitoring the crop production, for example, for agronomy, which is quite important all over the world, especially if you think about the recent situation around us in Europe. That's quite important to know how much crop yield is available in the near future for the humanity. And as I already had other colleagues who mentioned, that our student can choose courses from other three specialization. And on the third semester, we will focus on how can we use those things which the student already learned on the second semester. Okay, so they will be specialized courses. The first one will be specialized to space weather. As you know, that space weather and space safety is quite important now, because we have now literally thousands of satellites all around us, and they are many times are in danger by the dynamics of the sun, which is projected to the surrounding of the Earth, the upper atmosphere. So space weather is quite important. We have to know when does it happen and how does it happen. What is the duration and what is the amplitude of the different harmful space radiations, what we can or we have to need to protect our assets in the space. And of course, we will learn about, the students will learn about the physics of the heliosphere and the formation and especially the planetology, especially to those planets which are important for us, like Venus and Mars, at least in the near future. And the Moon is not a planet, but in that sense, but it is also very important, as we know that there are many planned activity around the Moon in the very near future. And then on the second course, the students will learn about how the satellite instrument works. The physics of the satellite instruments, how the measurements are designed, what can we measure with a special instrument in the space, and what kind of flagship missions were already in the history, and what are the missions under preparation, which could be very important for us in the near future. And then, as we mostly use satellites, we have to know about the satellite orbits and what are the constraints in the orbits, what kind of problems come up with the satellites, including different radiation and different acceleration and space debris problem, because space debris are very, I wouldn't say it's very important, but they are existing. So we have to deal with the mitigation of space debris very soon, because there are many, and we are on just the beginning of the CubeSat revolution, where we can expect many 10,000 satellites in around the Earth in the near future, which will be debris sooner or later, having no possibility to deorbiting them. So we have to deal with them. And then, as a very hot topic now, is that artificial intelligence, machine learning, neural networks are widely used in space activity, processing the space data, processing in situ data on board the satellites, on the ground. So students should learn about how can they apply these new phenomena to space activity. And of course, here there is also a possibility to have a selection or selected courses from the other specialization, and this specialization will be concluded by it's a short thesis work, which the student will have a specialized task tuned or tailored for their background, and they will have to create that kind of thesis work, and this will be the end of the course. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and I just stop sharing and pass the floor to the next speaker.
Thank you very much, Professor Lichtenberger. Please, the floor is yours, Professor Bacciardi.
Thank you very much, Bianca. I share my screen, so I hope that it can be seen by the participants. I'm László Bacciardi from the Budapest University of Technology and Economics, and I'm the program leader of the Space Technology Expert part of the UniSpace education program. Our university is the biggest engineering university in Hungary. We have 8 faculties, more than 20,000 students, and out of our 8 faculties, 5 faculties are participating in different space-related activities. And we are really proud that more than 14 of our departments are involved in different research and development space projects, working with different national and international stakeholders. So this is the heritage on which we started to work when we created this Space Technology Expert program. In the program, we are collaborating with 10 other Hungarian universities. So this is a program for 11 universities, but some other work on our program. So among of these 5 faculties who are participating in the space activities, my faculty is the Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Informatics, and my colleagues are participating in different space projects since the 50s or early 60s. So they participated in the Vega program in the 80s, in the Rosetta mission of the European Space Agency, in different communication and band propagation experiment. And that we are really proud of that we started to work on CubeSats and picosatellites. And 3 years ago, the world's first operational picosatellite was created by my colleague at the university. This is what I have, its model in my hand right now. This is 5 centimeters to 5 centimeters to 5 centimeters. It was launched in December of 2019. It was fully operational. This was not only just a satellite, it performed different scientific measurements as well. So this is the engineering background on which we started to build our educational activities. And 4 years ago, Hungary was able to host the second symposium on space educational activities conference of the European Space Agency. During this conference, we had some discussions about the space education future in Hungary, and some activities were already mentioned by Bianca Parag. at the start of this session, but I wanted to underline as well that we started the space engineering master program this year as well, which is our own education master program for 4 semesters. So everyone who is interested more in space technology can join the space engineering master program starting from this year, because space engineering master program did not exist in the country in the past. And the other space technology related program is the Space Technology Expert Program, our postgraduate training program, which is part of the UniSpace program, which was started in this September as well. So at the university, we're able to start 2 different space technology programs for 2 different audiences at the same time. In the Space Technology Expert Program, we have 11 universities who are collaborating with us. As you already have heard, it consists of 3 semesters. The first 8 subjects are the same in all of the 4 programs. The difference is in the second and the third semester, which I would like to detail in shortly. So in the second semester, our students who would like to be expert in space technology, we learn about Earth observation. It was mentioned by already Professor Richtenberger that how important Earth observation is. In this program, we are focusing on its applications and technology areas. The other course is about different flight hardware materials, how to construct a satellite, what kind of materials are needed for that. The third part is really important, since we need SpaceCom. If we would like to communicate with our devices, as my colleagues from the space communication community tells always, a device without space communication is only a debris in the outer space. And we have another interesting course or subject. This is exercise of space missions with virtual tours. My colleague will use different virtual reality devices to show how interesting a space mission is. And of course, 2 courses will be picked up from the other 3 programs, which were already detailed by my colleagues. In the third semester, we will continue to discover the world of the new space, starting with the design thinking, which is really important in the different mission planning. And we would like to show to our students that this kind of project planning and project management is really useful in the space industry as well. So we will have a course for the design thinking. The other course is about space robots and manipulators. It's always a big question whether humans or robots should discover the space in the not so far future. We would like to teach our students how space robots works, how robotic arm functions, and so on. The third subject is about thermodynamics, since this is really important if we would like to launch a satellite into the space. And of course, to go to the space, we need rockets. So this is why our students will learn about rocket technology as well. Of course, this is only a postgraduate training course, so we do not have time to teach everything from those areas which I listed on my slides, but we would like to give a deep understanding to our students how space technology looks like and how it is different from the other technologies. And of course, our students would be able to pick up 2 courses from the other programs. It was already mentioned by my colleagues, but we believe that this is a really important part of our UniSpace training program, that we will allow our students from the field of engineering, from the field of social sciences, from the field of natural sciences as well, to pick up 2 courses which do not belong to their core domains. But if they would like to work in a space project in the future, they need to understand the other domains as well. So this is, in a nutshell, our space technology expert program. And this concludes my presentation. I would like to give back to the floor to Bianca. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, for the interesting presentation, Professor Baccelli. Yes, as I see, we have two different questions here. So what are some of the current challenges in Hungarian universities in terms of developing a space strategy? And what are some of the policy challenges for the government as well? It will be the first question. Maybe I can give to you the answer from the point of view of universities. Is it okay, Orsolya?
Yes, I think you can go ahead
absolutely.
and provide your answer, and then perhaps pass the floor if anybody has further comments on the question, and then we can move on to the next question.
Okay. Yes.
And also, if there's any other questions, if you'd like to post it, because I think we might have enough time for one more question.
So to repeat the question to the floor, what are some of the current challenges in Hungarian universities in terms of developing a space strategy? And what are some of the policy challenges for the government as well?
First of all, if I may, I would like to answer the question, the part of the question which regards to the government. This is a very challenging time, you know. As you see from the news, everywhere, the space is everywhere, not just in the science, but in the safety and security questions, the international relations. Just look at the ISS story, in which really great nations, space nations cooperate, and they need each other. But on the other hand, they talk sometimes on a very hard voice. The Hungarian government is interested in the peaceful use of outer space. And as I mentioned before, these global services based on the space infrastructure are the basis of our everyday life. And because of this, we need each other. So we try to negotiate to any direction in regarding the peaceful use of outer space and to cooperate. But on the other hand, we are members of alliances like NATO and the European Union and the European Space Agency, and these are the pillars of our any movement of the Hungarian policy or the government strategy. So it means that we always take into consideration all the points which are declared by the NATO and the European Union. These are our first and most important communities. After that, all the other aspects are in our challenges and strategies. Thank you.
Wonderful. And we have another question that came in. So let's move to the second question from Mike Gray. What advice would you have for other countries that are beginning to think about developing space programs, especially in terms of organizing and coordinating academic institutions toward a common goal of developing effective space programs? Or any advice in general for countries just starting to think about space?
If I may, just in a few words, in a nutshell, and give the floor to others, the most important word that I would like to underline is the cooperation. It means that there is no need to duplicate anything. The universities and academic places have strong or weak points, and we must take into consideration all these weaknesses and strong powers, and we must find the optimum in this cooperation if we want to gain the most effective result for a country. And the other is that the space is a very complex story. This is really an ecosystem. So we need social sciences, we need STEM sector, we need technical and informatical sciences as well. So that's what we tried to present in the recent few minutes. Thank you.
Any other presenters would like to also answer that question?
If I may, I would like to just answer for the second part of the question that on general aspect. I think there is an important thing in space activity, which is the heritage. So that, as Orsoly already mentioned, the cooperation is very important, and because the space activity is one of the most conservative thing in the world, opposite what everybody can think, because you have to prove that you will be able to produce, manufacture a reliable instrument which flies on the space without any problem. So the heritage, which is a proof of your experience, is very important. So if you are a beginner in space activity, what advice I can give you is to cooperate with other partners. Either could it be an institute from the same country, an institute from the other country, a company, or even an institute, even an organization like NASA or ESA, to cooperate with them, get exercise, get heritage, and then continue to go to the next grade. Thank you.
Great. Any other presenters want to answer that question? If not, we'll move on to the. Okay.
If I may have a comment on that as Robert. So I was talking about, I just wanted to join to Professor Lichtenberger. I mentioned in my presentation that my colleagues at the university, they created this small picosatellites, but they were working on the heritage what we had at the university. So the heritage of those professors who contributed to the different space missions of ESA or in the intercosmos time of the Soviet mission. So it is always good to have a good heritage on which you can put in. Okay.
Let's move to the third question, which is posed by ex-Ruben Patino. What is your perspective on space medicine, IP, and law? What in space offers treatment to worldly health problems? Is there anything specific you or your university is working on? He said, I never have heard about this space, about how can any one nation or person claim ownership over any discovery in this realm. Intellectual property, I'm assuming. Is there some doctrine of discovery regulating this space?
If I may, I would like to answer the first part of the question. And I would like to stress that on the one hand, of course, each and every one of us has a scientific background in space research. But in terms of the program, the things that we obtain in terms of studying what happens to an astronaut and how can we provide appropriate nutritions and food for them has very important implications for here on Earth. Let me just mention two, which is very simple and very easily understood. In microgravity, there is a reduction in muscle mass and force. Very similar to what happens with as us aging in elderly, or in case of a long bed rest following medical problem, muscle mass is lost, muscles get weaker, and so on. How to prevent that and what to do in order to gain the muscle mass back and the strength back is extremely important for all of us who reach an age where we start to become, when it starts to become for us to move around. The second thing is that I think it is pretty obvious that we cannot take animals up on a spaceship in order to, sorry for me saying this, but to kill them and eat them for food. It is, as I think, very clear nowadays that sustainable feeding of the ever-growing human population will have problems if we are to feed everyone based on grazing animal. So the problems of and solving them of how to produce food without from plants, without having the animal between the person who eats and the plant, I think it is a very important challenge that faces humanity. And these are addressed not only in our research, but also in the space program that we are to teach. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other presenters want to tackle either part of the question, either the medical or the intellectual property aspects?
The legal aspect is also there, as I see in the question. The question was, how can anyone, nation or person, they claim ownership for any discovery? It is very important to clarify that this space is the property of the mankind. So we cannot claim any ownership in the space, but the knowledge can be owned by the researchers or the universities. But yes, I must say that there are a lot of open topics on the table of the United Nations, and it is very important to clarify these and to harmonize the positions and points within an alliance like the NATO or like the European Union or the United Nations. And for example, the Artemis Accord is a good example, which is a good attempt to start a negotiation regarding these open topics on the table. This is very important to clear the positions before the technology passes the regulation, because this would be dangerous, I think. Look at the moon. If we reach the moon and or any other entity will reach the moon and will start an activity there, this will influence on the whole biosphere on the Earth. So before stepping forward, we must talk about these questions very sincerely, I think.
Dr. Friends, thank you very much. That's very interesting. One of my close friends, he is a medical researcher, MD, with PhD, ABD in physics from University of Bern. And he had a medical experiment go up on a NASA flight. He had some issues with intellectual property, maybe not proper citations of his work. So now when I asked him about his research, he says, I cannot speak about it because it's under a non-disclosure agreement with the university I'm working with. So that's a topic that difficult to fully answer. We only have about 1 minute left, but I do want to say thank you very much to Dr. Ferenc, Dr. Pera, Dr. Bascardi, Dr. Serznak, and Dr. Lichtenberger. I've personally been very inspired, especially having very close colleagues who are from Hungary, close colleagues for about the last decade. So thank you very, very much. Any other concluding thoughts, Dr. Ferenc?
Just I would like to say thank you very much for the possibility, for the opportunity to speak about the Hungarian activity in space, and I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.